May thy servant Camilla, who wears this crown, be filled by thine abundant grace and with all princely virtues. Reign in her heart, O King of love.
If you look at the coronation footage, as the King and Queen leave the thrones and head for the exit of Westminster Abbey of the coronation Saturday, you'll see that everyone bows and curtsies to the King.
The coronation of King Charles III was meant to be a grand celebration of continuity, a moment to unite the British monarchy and showcase its resilience through generations of royal service. The long-awaited event marked not just the formal crowning of a new king, but the passing of a legacy that spanned decades. Yet, amid the pageantry and smiles, there was one moment that caused a seismic shift in the royal family's carefully constructed image. Princess Anne, typically the epitome of poise and duty, delivered a quiet but unmistakable act of defiance that left the world questioning the dynamics within the royal household.
Anne, the Princess Royal, is King Charles's younger sister. She has been the Colonel of the Blues and Royal's British Army Regiment since 1998 and was later granted the title of Gold Stick in Waiting for Charles.
Anne's icy silence towards Queen Camilla at the coronation was not just a passing moment. For those who closely observe royal interactions, it was a glaring public message. While the coronation should have been a moment of harmony, Anne's uncharacteristic cold shoulder sent shockwaves throughout the royal family and beyond. Anne, known for her unyielding loyalty to the monarchy's traditions, did not disguise her discomfort with Camilla's elevated position. Her refusal to acknowledge Camilla in the way she would other members of the royal family raised questions that no one had dared to publicly ask before. Was this a sign of deeper rifts between the two? And was Anne signaling that the monarchy's traditional values were being compromised? This royal moment was not just about a single gesture. It was the culmination of years of unspoken tension between Princess Anne and Queen Camilla. Behind the polished, well-rehearsed smiles and greetings, there had long been a simmering discontent. The royal family, usually so adept at presenting a united front, found itself exposed by this quiet revolt. It was a crack in the royal facade, one that made the public and royal insiders alike rethink the dynamics of the family. For Anne, this wasn't merely about a personal disagreement. It was about the preservation of royal integrity and duty. Her commitment to the monarchy had always been unwavering. Anne had spent decades in service to the crown, embodying the qualities that the British monarchy had once been known for: sacrifice, duty, and discretion. These were qualities she believed should define those who wore the crown, not a title granted by royal decree. The contrast between her dedication and Camilla's rapid ascension raised important questions about the future direction of the monarchy. Was this a monarchy of tradition, or was it evolving into something else, one more willing to bend for public approval? The public reaction to Anne's behavior was mixed. Some applauded her steadfast commitment to the traditional values of the monarchy, seeing it as a sign of moral clarity in a time of significant change. Others, however, interpreted it as a sign of resistance to the modernization of the royal family. With this silent rebellion, Anne wasn't just rejecting Camilla's rise. She was making a statement about what the monarchy should stand for in the 21st century. Was Anne's coldness a sign of personal bitterness, or was it the beginning of a larger battle over the future of the royal family? The implications of this moment were far-reaching. Anne's behavior, often considered a more private matter, had been thrust into the spotlight. The royal family's unity, so long a point of pride, seemed fragile. The tensions between Princess Anne and Queen Camilla would undoubtedly be scrutinized in the coming years. But more importantly, Anne's silent protest raised a critical question about the monarchy's future. Was there a need for change? Or was Anne's refusal to acknowledge Camilla a message that some aspects of the monarchy should remain unchanged? A history of tension. The tensions between Princess Anne and Queen Camilla didn't develop overnight. From the very beginning of Camilla's relationship with Prince Charles, Anne viewed her with skepticism and disapproval. To understand the depth of this ongoing tension, it's essential to look back at the history between the two women. Princess Anne, always known for her unwavering sense of duty, found herself at odds with Camilla's rising prominence in the royal family, especially after her marriage to Charles in 2005. While the world celebrated the union, Anne quietly questioned Camilla's role within the family. For Anne, the monarchy was not just about titles and public appearances, it was about service and dedication. Throughout her life, Anne had shown the utmost commitment to royal duty, balancing hundreds of engagements each year while remaining steadfast in her sense of responsibility. Her loyalty to the crown and its traditions was unwavering, and this included a belief that royal titles, especially that of queen consort, should be earned through years of sacrifice and dedication to the crown. In contrast, Camilla's rise to queen consort seemed to Anne like a shortcut, bypassing the years of work that Anne herself had put into the monarchy. The growing tension between Anne and Camilla came into sharper focus as Camilla's relationship with Prince Charles deepened. The affair that had caused so much public scandal during Charles's marriage to Princess Diana remained a sore spot for many, particularly Anne. To Anne, Camilla was an outsider, someone whose actions had threatened the very integrity of the royal family. Anne's role as the guardian of tradition and the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II left her with a sense of duty to protect the monarchy from what she saw as the encroachment of modern, less than traditional influences. As Camilla's influence within the royal family grew, so did Anne's concerns. When the Queen publicly endorsed Camilla as queen consort in 2022, Anne was shocked. For Anne, this decision felt like a betrayal, not just of her own values, but of the monarchy's fundamental principles. Queen Elizabeth, whose reign was defined by dignity, duty, and tradition, had once stood for those same values. To Anne, the endorsement of Camilla as queen consort seemed to go against everything her mother had worked for, and it only deepened the divide between Anne and Camilla. At the heart of this division was Anne's belief that the crown should be about more than public appearances and popularity. For her, the monarchy represented a higher standard, one that could not be compromised for modern sensibilities. In contrast, Camilla's approach to royal life, with its more relaxed style and efforts to make the royal family appear more approachable, did not sit well with Anne. Camilla's more modern approach to the monarchy was, in Anne's eyes, a dilution of its values and traditions. This clash of ideals was not just an ideological difference, it was a personal one. Anne's role in the royal family had always been about duty and sacrifice, while Camilla's rise seemed to represent a different set of values: ambition, self-promotion, and personal advancement. The growing divide between them was a reflection of larger tensions within the monarchy itself. The monarchy, once an institution founded on duty, was now being shaped by competing visions of what it should represent. And in this battle, Anne's steadfast loyalty to the crown's traditional values seemed at odds with Camilla's more progressive approach. The rise of Camilla to queen consort was not just a victory for her, it was a defeat for Anne's vision of what the monarchy should be. And while the royal family presented a united front in public, behind closed doors, the rivalry between Anne and Camilla was only intensifying. As the monarchy continues to evolve, it's clear that the power struggle between these two women, each with her own vision for the future of the crown, will play a pivotal role in shaping the legacy of King Charles's reign, the promise broken. In 2005, Camilla Parker Bowles made a promise that seemed to signify a deep understanding of the complicated dynamics within the royal family. When she married Prince Charles, she committed to staying in the background, choosing not to take the title of queen consort, but instead adopting the less prestigious title of Duchess of Cornwall. This vow was not just about royal decorum, it was a conscious decision that acknowledged the history and intricacies of her relationship with Charles, and by extension, the British monarchy itself. At the time, this promise was seen by many as an act of humility, one that reflected Camilla's understanding of the sensitivity surrounding her role within the royal family. For Princess Anne, this promise was more than just a public gesture. It was a symbol of respect for the monarchy's legacy and traditions. As someone who had spent her entire life serving the crown, Anne had always held firm to the belief that the monarchy was founded on principles of duty, responsibility, and restraint. Anne respected the traditions that the royal family was built upon, and she was deeply committed to upholding them. Camilla's decision to remain the Duchess of Cornwall seemed to Anne like an acknowledgement of these values. It was a promise that suggested Camilla understood her place within the royal family and did not seek to disrupt the carefully balanced hierarchy that had existed for centuries. However, as the years passed, Cracks began to appear in the facade of Camilla's promise. The gradual shift in her public role was subtle at first, but over time, it became undeniable. Camilla's growing influence over Charles, coupled with her increasing participation in royal duties, hinted that her ambitions may not have been as restrained as she had initially suggested. As Camilla's role in the royal family expanded, it became clear that she was no longer content with her position as the Duchess. Eventually, her rise to the title of Queen Consort shocked both the public and the royal family, especially Princess Anne, who had long held a strong belief that the title of Queen Consort should be reserved for those who had proven their dedication to the crown through years of service and sacrifice. For Anne, Camilla's ascension to Queen Consort felt like a betrayal, one that went against the very values she had spent her life defending. Anne saw the title of Queen Consort as one that should be earned, not handed out based on marriage to the king. It was a title that carried with it an immense responsibility, and to Anne, Camilla's rise seemed to disregard the deep commitment that was required for such a position. Anne could not reconcile the Camilla she had observed over the years with the idea of someone holding the title of Queen Consort. To Anne, it was a title that demanded not only love for the monarch, but an unwavering commitment to the values that had shaped the royal family for generations. The public's perception of Camilla also played a role in Anne's growing disillusionment. While Camilla had worked hard to rebuild her image after years of scandal, the shadow of her affair with Charles during his marriage to Princess Diana remained an inescapable part of her history. To Anne, this was another crucial factor that made Camilla unworthy of the title of Queen Consort. The title was about more than just public appearances and royal duties. It was about embodying the very essence of what the monarchy stood for, something Anne believed Camilla had yet to prove she could do. The questions now surrounding Camilla's motivations were impossible to ignore. Had she simply seized an opportunity when it was presented, or had her ambition for the crown been there all along, hidden behind a veil of self-restraint? Was her promise to remain the Duchess of Cornwall ever truly sincere? Or was it just a strategic move to maintain peace with the royal family, while her true intentions simmered below the surface? Anne's disappointment was palpable, and the dissonance between the woman she thought Camilla was and the woman she had become as Queen Consort left Anne questioning the future of the monarchy and its adherence to the values that had always defined it. The final straw. In 2022, a momentous decision by Queen Elizabeth II sent shockwaves through the royal family, signaling a dramatic shift in the monarchy's trajectory. The Queen, in her declining health, made an unexpected and public announcement that she endorsed Camilla as Queen Consort when Charles ascended to the throne. This was not merely a formality. It was an explicit endorsement of Camilla's role and her future place beside Charles as Queen Consort. The announcement, made publicly at a time when the royal family was under intense scrutiny, was seen by some as an attempt to solidify unity and send a message of continuity in the face of uncertain times. But for Princess Anne, it was a betrayal, one that would forever alter her perception of the monarchy. Queen Elizabeth had long been a symbol of duty, honor, and tradition. Her reign, which spanned more than 6 decades, was built on principles of stability and adherence to royal values. For Anne, the Queen's endorsement of Camilla felt like a break from that legacy. Anne had always viewed the monarchy as an institution that required respect for tradition and a commitment to service above all else. Camilla's rise to Queen Consort, especially in light of her previous promise to remain the Duchess, seemed to Anne like a direct contradiction to the values her mother had spent her life upholding. It was as if the monarchy's core principles were being sacrificed for the sake of modern public relations. As the Queen's health declined, Anne had become the silent guardian of her mother's legacy. She had remained by the Queen's side, steadfast in her role as a support to both the crown and the institution that had shaped her life. For Anne, the monarchy was more than just a family. It was a sacred trust that had been passed down through generations, and it was her responsibility to ensure that this trust was protected. Queen Elizabeth's decision to endorse Camilla as Queen Consort, however, felt like a personal betrayal. Anne could not reconcile the image of her mother, who had been a paragon of royal duty and restraint, with the idea of Camilla, whose rise to power Anne viewed as self-serving and contradictory to the monarchy's principles. The endorsement marked a profound shift in Anne's view of the monarchy's direction. It was no longer a monarchy of duty and tradition, but one that seemed to be adapting to modern sensibilities and public opinion. For Anne, this was a troubling realization. She had spent her life in service to the crown, quietly upholding its values and principles. But with Queen Elizabeth's endorsement of Camilla, Anne began to wonder if the monarchy could survive in a modern world that increasingly valued public appeal over royal duty. Could the monarchy maintain its respect and influence if it continued to compromise on the very principles that had made it one of the most respected institutions in the world? Anne's disillusionment was not just a personal feeling. It was a reflection of the growing divide within the royal family. As Camilla's rise continued, so did Anne's growing sense of frustration. She had always been a loyal servant to the crown, but now she was questioning whether the monarchy could survive its evolving transformation. Anne had seen the monarchy adapt over the years, but she had never imagined that it would come at the cost of the traditional values that had been its foundation. In many ways, Queen Elizabeth's endorsement of Camilla was the final straw for Anne, the moment when she realized that the royal family was moving in a direction that no longer reflected the legacy she had worked so hard to protect. This moment of disillusionment left Anne facing a stark reality. She could no longer pretend that the monarchy she had dedicated her life to was the same as the one she saw now. Queen Elizabeth's endorsement of Camilla had irrevocably changed the course of royal history, and for Anne, it marked the beginning of a new era, one that she feared might not align with the values and traditions that had once defined the British monarchy. With the monarchy at a crossroads, Anne was left wondering if the future of the royal family could be salvaged, or if the institution was destined to lose its sense of purpose and integrity. Anne's silent message. The coronation of King Charles III was meant to be a moment of history, a shining beacon of continuity and unity for the British monarchy. The pageantry, the centuries-old rituals, and the symbolism of the moment were all intended to reflect the stability and endurance of the royal family. Yet, during this momentous event, it wasn't just the crown being placed on Charles's head that drew attention. It was the subtle, yet unmistakable actions of Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, that captured the world's gaze. For years, Princess Anne had been a symbol of steadfast loyalty and dutiful service to the crown. Known for her no-nonsense approach and commitment to the royal family, Anne's role had largely been that of a quiet pillar, always present and supportive, never one to seek the limelight. But on the day of Charles's coronation, Anne's behavior spoke volumes in ways words never could. As the royal family gathered in Westminster Abbey for one of the most significant events in British history, Anne's icy demeanor toward Camilla, the newly crowned queen consort, became the focal point of the ceremony. Where there had once been polite exchanges and subtle acknowledgments between the two women, this time there was nothing but distance. Anne's refusal to engage with Camilla, her cold posture, and the lack of the usual royal warmth left an indelible mark on the occasion. The silence between the two women was not merely the result of a personal disagreement. It was a powerful statement, a deliberate act that sent shockwaves through the royal family and beyond. Anne was no longer willing to simply accept the changes happening within the monarchy. Instead, she was using this historic occasion to make her disapproval known. The symbolism of this cold shoulder was profound. In the world of royalty, gestures are rarely accidental, and every move is calculated with precision. For Anne, this was no accidental slip of behavior. It was a message that could not be misunderstood. By withholding her support from Camilla at such a critical moment, Anne was sending a clear signal to both her family and the watching public. This was not just a private familial dispute. It was a protest against the direction the monarchy was headed under Charles and Camilla's leadership. For Anne, this was not just about personal animosity toward Camilla, but about a fundamental clash in values. Anne had spent her entire life adhering to the traditional values of the monarchy: duty, service, and unwavering loyalty to the crown. To her, the institution of the monarchy was built upon these principles, and she had always viewed the role of the queen consort as a position that required deep, long-standing dedication. Camilla's sudden ascension to the title, with its complicated past, seemed to Anne like a departure from these values. By using her silent protest at the coronation, Anne was emphasizing that she would not accept this shift in priorities without making her stance clear. The cold shoulder was a calculated act, a final warning to Camilla, and a reminder to the royal family that tradition and duty should never be compromised. Anne had been loyal to the monarchy, and now, at the coronation, she was standing her ground, making it clear that the crown's legacy and dignity were at stake. Her actions were a reminder that the royal family, no matter how much it may evolve, must always be rooted in the traditions that had made it a symbol of strength and stability for centuries. Public reaction to Anne's warning, the fallout from Princess Anne's chilly behavior at King Charles's coronation, was swift and intense. In the world of royal observers, where every gesture, look, and action is dissected and scrutinized, Anne's cold shoulder was impossible to ignore. Social media exploded with theories, news outlets quickly picked up on the subtle tension, and royal commentators were quick to label Anne's behavior as a deliberate statement. Was this simply a case of personal tension between two women with differing views? Or did Anne's actions represent something deeper, an outright rejection of the changes within the royal family? In the days following the coronation, the media was filled with analyses of Anne's actions. Commentators from across the globe weighed in, discussing whether Anne's cold demeanor was a sign of a deeper rift in the royal family. Some royal experts believed that Anne's behavior was a direct expression of her disapproval of Camilla's rise to queen consort. To them, it was a warning that Anne had long held in her heart, one that was now being made public. They saw Anne's actions as a symbol of her commitment to the traditional values that had guided the monarchy for centuries. Her refusal to engage with Camilla, they argued, was her way of making it clear that she would not quietly accept what she viewed as a departure from the monarchy's founding principles. Supporters of Anne applauded her for standing firm in her beliefs and defending the integrity of the crown. They viewed her cold shoulder as a courageous stand for tradition and honor, something that had been lacking in the monarchy's more modern approach under Charles and Camilla. To these supporters, Anne's actions were a reminder that the monarchy should be about duty, respect, and sacrifice, not about chasing public approval or modernizing for the sake of popularity. On the other hand, some critics of Anne's behavior argued that her cold shoulder was a sign of royal inflexibility and resistance to change. These detractors claimed that Anne's actions were a refusal to adapt to the evolving nature of the monarchy in a rapidly changing world. For them, Anne's refusal to embrace Camilla's new role as queen consort was an unwillingness to accept the realities of modern monarchy, where the royal family must stay relevant in the eyes of the public. They argued that Anne's stance risked isolating her from the rest of the family and tarnishing her own legacy as a royal figure. Despite the divided opinions, one thing was clear: Anne's actions had captivated the world. The public's fascination with the royal family's internal dynamics had only intensified, and this silent standoff between Anne and Camilla became a focal point for discussions about the future of the monarchy. The tensions between the two women, which had long simmered beneath the surface, were now in full view for everyone to see. Royal watchers could no longer ignore the stark contrast between Anne's traditional values and Camilla's more modern approach to the monarchy. As the media delved deeper into the intricacies of Anne's cold shoulder, it became apparent that the monarchy was at a crossroads. Anne's actions had shed light on the growing divide within the royal family, one that went beyond personal disagreements and touched on fundamental issues of royal duty, tradition, and the future of the crown. Whether Anne's actions were seen as a brave stand for the monarchy's values or as a symbol of resistance to progress, they had undoubtedly changed the conversation surrounding the royal family. The monarchy's evolution was no longer just a matter of ceremonial shifts. It was now a question of whether the family could reconcile tradition with the demands of the modern world. In the aftermath of the coronation, the world was left to wonder. Would Anne's silent protest have lasting effects on her relationship with Camilla and the rest of the royal family? Would her stand for tradition lead to a broader re-evaluation of the monarchy's role in the 21st century? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain. Princess Anne's cold shoulder had captured the public's attention and added another layer of complexity to the royal family's ongoing evolution. What does this mean for the royal family moving forward? Will Princess Anne's message about preserving the integrity of the crown resonate? Or will the modernizing efforts of Camilla and Charles continue to dominate the royal landscape? Only time will tell. Stay tuned as we continue to unravel the hidden dynamics of the British monarchy. What do you think about Anne's silent warning? Is it a sign of a deepening rift or a necessary reminder of tradition? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into the royal family's evolving story.